call the roll. We have a new board member, Megan.
Hi.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure.
And
My name is Megan Schisler. I've lived in Oshkosh for almost 5 years now. Live over on Sunnybrook Drive. I say where that is. I work at EAA. I do marketing for my husband's from Oshkosh. We both are active as far as sports teams. I run the softball and basketball correctly. And the dog. So keeps us busy.
thank you. Welcome aboard. Okay, Trish, you call the roll.
Here.
Miller. Rule.
Here.
Schuessler.
Here.
Wilson.
Here.
Wooler.
Here.
Okay, in the mail, we got the minutes for the January 13th board meeting. Any additions or corrections? Seeing none, need a motion to approve. By Terry, second. By Jonathan. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Looking at park business, if there's any citizens in the audience that want to speak on any of the park business, the first three items, we'll call you up when we're at that point. First is discuss and recommend lease agreement extension for concession stand operation at Spanbauer Memorial Field.
I can kick that off for you, Bill. Since 1996, the city has worked with the Fraternal Order of Eagles to provide concessions at Spanbauer Memorial Field. We've had a number of contract extensions with the Order of Eagles, and the most recent one expired at the end of 2013. Mr. Brewer from the Eagles is in the audience, and we are recommending that the Park Board recommend to the Common Council a 2-year renewal of the lease at Spanbauer Memorial Field. The rent that the city receives for the concession stand operation is spelled out in the original agreement from 1996, and I'll read you that. Tenant agrees to pay to the city a minimum rent of $1,000 or 10% of gross revenues, whichever is greater for the year. And just to give you an idea what we've received the last 4 or 5 years from the concessions operations at Spanbauer Field, going back, 2013 was $1,000, 2012 $1,000, 11 was $1,000, 2010 was just short of $1,600, 2009 was $2,075. I think what we're seeing is a reduction in the number of teams potentially, as well as concession sales, and Dan may be able to touch on some of that too, but over the last couple of years, the number of teams that may play down there, concession sales have gone down. But we've got a great relationship with them, and we'd recommend approval of the extension of the lease for a 2-year term.
Okay. Dan, you want to say anything? Just come up to the podium, please.
About the only thing that I would have is the main reason for the decline in the revenues. One would be the men's leagues have now been totally taken away from Spanbauer Field because of massive home runs, and the loss of Club 6.5. That was the big one. They were dwindling down for a few years, and the last 2 years we didn't have them at all. The leagues that are out there, we have leagues Monday through Thursday, 2 women's leagues, and the other 2 are co-ed leagues. Women's leagues do fairly well nights. The co-ed leagues are a little down. We were starting to work with the Oshkosh Youth Softball Association. They had a couple tournaments out there last year, and we're hoping to see a little more of that out there this year. Unfortunately, it's basically up to the rec department of who's scheduled out there for leagues. So,
Okay. Is that Fast Club you're talking about?
no, not Fast Club.
Okay.
The Oshkosh Youth
Okay.
Softball. So we're still trying to bring in as much as we can, but we're kind of limited to what we have to work with too.
Any questions for Dan? Being none?
Make a motion to adopt that.
Okay. Second by Okay, Gerald? Discussion? Being none, call the roll, please. Trish?
Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Ogleski.
Aye.
Michelson.
Aye.
Rule.
Aye.
Schuster.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Wooler.
Aye.
Carried. Okay. Next, discuss and approve Little Free Library project proposed by North High School students. Great.
Thanks, Bill. We do have a student here from Oshkosh North Vocational Skills class. First name is Anthony, and I had been contacted by their teacher wondering if the city would allow the students to construct some free little libraries, or little free libraries, I'm sorry, and allow those to be put in some of the city parks. They did a presentation for me, and I did some checking with a few of our peers throughout the state. It actually was one of the topics of a recent LinkedIn discussion topic, and there seemed to be very good results from the different parks that these are allowed into. Minimal issues as far as maintenance, as far as vandalism. I think it's something that has been really growing around the Fox Valley area, and I think Anthony will attest to that in some of his presentation. I think Appleton has a number of these located throughout the cities. What they did is they actually are going to construct their own free little libraries, and I asked them to bring those in and have the board take a look at those. I did provide in your packet a little bit of information from the website that you can go online and take a look at, as well as a letter from the students, and I believe their advisor and teacher, Ms. Williams, is in the audience as well to support the project. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Anthony and ask him to go through his presentation.
First of all, like you said, we're trying to get permission to get these in the park so kids can read and get more education out of the books, so they can read more, because some kids don't like to read. This is a vocational skills class, so we are trying to get North looking into we are trying to add little free libraries within our community at various parks and residents. There is one place on 15th Street and no others in our city. Appleton and other communities surrounding Oshkosh have up to 18 libraries in various places, various community sites. We are seeking permission to place libraries in the following places: Rochland Park, Fuggerberg Boat Launch, and Roe Park, to encourage literacy within Oshkosh communities. We have a link here that should show the website of the Little Free Libraries. What is a Little Free Library? It is a take a book, take a book, return a book. It is a gathering place where neighbors share their favorite literature and stories. It is a most basic form. It is in a most basic form. A Little Free Library is a box full of books where anyone may stop by and pick up a book or two, and bring back another book to share. You can too. There's another link. The description of them, the Little Free Libraries will be accessible to people who are wheelchair bound, which is 30 inches above ground. Each box is designed for the various parks that we have selected. There is some pictures of what it looks like when somebody is in a wheelchair and how they would access the Little Free Library. And we are proposing that the school clubs will adopt a Little Free Library box and fill with books and keep it repaired. During the summers, kids will fill Little Free Libraries, earning credits for keeping in good repair and stocked. Installation would be under watch of the city requirements and vocational skills class, which is the class that we are doing to build these. We have made calls to Appleton, Madison, and have discussed minimal. They have told us there is minimal damage to any of the boxes in their communities. we suggest putting boxes where adults can visually see them, so just in case stuff does happen, but we highly doubt that nothing will. And then the things that we are missing out on the boxes that we have brought to you today is a pitch roof, which we are doing so it will not receive any water damage. Doors that open for the boat that you see, it will be 2 doors sliding opening, so it'd be more easier because if there was a big door and if somebody leaned on it, it could easily break off. And we will have something that will make sure the doors will stay locked, or not locked, but like closed, and they won't just keep opening freely. The certification plaque on each one should be 2 inches by 5 by 13. Metal poles will be used to hold them, to secure them and to keep them secure. The poles will be 5 by 5, or 5 foot 5 inches, 3 foot underground, so it'll be stable, and that's it. Thank you.
Oh, don't go away. We probably have some questions for you.
Questions?
I've got a question. Are these intended to be out year-round, or will they just be out seasonally and then kind of packed up for the winter?
We'll probably do them take them out for the winter so nothing happens, because if like snow damage or anything for birds to migrate in, but we're gonna do as much as we can to make sure animals and any type of insects will not be able to have their own home and stuff in them, so kids will be safe and not get like bees or squirrels or anything. So.
Then a follow-up question that I have for you, Mr. Maurer, is this anticipated to cause any dilemmas either for any kind of maintenance activities, whether it's lawn mowing equipment or obviously snow plows? If they take it down for the winter, shouldn't be an issue. But
Yeah, I think what we'll do is work with the class and make sure that they are, one, accessible to anybody that would be in a wheelchair, but also so that it would not be a maintenance issue for us. And then we did explain to the class that we would expect the schools to work with us to make sure if there's vandalism or maintenance items that we would work through the school and the vocational skills, and so they're aware of that. And if we do have increased vandalism or any issues with the boxes, we're looking at it as a 1-year trial option and see how it goes for a year and evaluate it after this first summer.
Anybody else have anything? I have one. Signage for these, because right now you look at them and people say, well, what are they? You know, is there going to be something like a free library sign, or
Yes, we will.
how it works?
Yeah, we're gonna try to for the certification plaques. We're gonna put the Little Free Library on them and also show the people that this is what it is, that they can, for like little kids or parents, so they can show their kids. But for like the boat one, we already have the specific location where it's gonna go. But for as you can see for the Caterpillar one, there's a lot of art on it, so we're gonna have to probably put it somewhere where it would be easier to put the flag, but with all that art, we're probably going to have to put it at the bottom or somewhere like where that little... But otherwise, we will probably have no problems finding a place to put the plaques so people know what it is.
Okay. Anybody else have anything for Anthony?
I do, Bill. I'm curious, what's the third Free Little Library? What is the design of that one?
Oh, we have, what was it? I think there was a root beer mug, because one over...
That's C&W's.
Yeah, the fish one. That's the one we're probably gonna we haven't constructed that one yet. We are working on that one because we're focusing on these two because these were the people that they stood out to people the most. Probably when we get back, we're probably gonna start constructing that one, so it'll be done. And if just in case it does get work out, we're gonna get ready to be set up.
Are you only looking at 3 right now?
We have, so far, that's what the designs we have made. We only have 3, but we have people that are sending us stuff that they want us to build more of them, and stuff like related to them. So, yes, but otherwise we only have 3 so far, but we can build more.
Okay, and Ray, you said this is like a 1-year trial?
Yeah, I think that's what we should do. Again, I'm comfortable with it, and I'm just checking in with our peers and colleagues from other communities. The vandalism doesn't seem to be an issue. I do want to make sure that we do see the final product before we put it out there. Work with the group to make sure that it's installed in a proper location. I did get an email recently from the Stevens Park Neighborhood Association, and they are actually going to be coming to the board to request to put one of these at Stevens Park as well. So I think it's something that the community's hearing about and they want to have some exposure to in their neighborhood. So this may not be the last group that you would hear from.
Okay.
We have orders right now for 7 more for private citizens for their front yards. Right now, we have professors from UWO. We have a couple other gentlemen that have contacted us. We have a new subdivision that contacted us to build one for their subdivision where they put all their notes as well in. So we have 7 more orders for the kids to make this year already for the community.
Okay.
We received a grant from Oshkosh Community Foundation to build these.
Very good. Hey, board.
I'll make a
Discussion.
motion to allow this for a year and then evaluate it after a year, see how the vandalism and that works. I hope it's good.
Okay. Do we want to, with the final product, just let it come through Ray or Chad?
Yes.
Instead of
Right.
coming back
Yes.
through the
Yeah.
board? Okay.
I would
Right.
second that.
Okay, we have a first and a second to allow this for a 1-year trial. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Trish, call the roll.
Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Vogleski,
Aye.
Michelson,
Aye.
Rule,
Aye.
Truesler,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Wooler.
Aye.
Okay. Very good. Good luck. Hope everything works out. Thank you for coming. Okay, next we have review South Park Master Plan concept.
I'm going to turn it right over to Jeff Bowling from Rutler Corporation. Jeff has been working on the preferred concept plan since coming to the board, I think it was 2 months back now, and getting input from the board on what they wanted to see in the preferred concept. What we'd like to do tonight is to come up with that preferred concept, whether it's what Jeff is going to present tonight or if it's in another alteration of this plan. And then what Jeff will be doing is working on the cost estimates to incorporate the final document.
All right, sounds great. I think it's going to be brought up here. Okay. All right, thanks. For those of you I haven't met, my name is Jeff Bowling, and I'm a landscape architect with Rutler Corporation. We're out of Stevens Point, Wisconsin, and appreciate being here tonight. We've also helped on a few other projects within the city over the last 4 or 5 years. Back in January, we did present 2 concepts at that time. I think they were fairly well received, and I know the board had some specific issues that they wanted us to make sure we included on the preferred plan. One, I'll just, I have them highlighted here. I just want to go through them real quick. The parking along Ohio Street was a big consensus of what we wanted to add, as well as adding a restroom to the shelter over there at shelter number 3. The basketball court and volleyball court should be together in the same area. Expand the splash pad, similar to concept 1. Look at different shoreline stabilization, stay away from the naturalized or the riprap look, but some of the other ones were to be looked at. Generally, that's about it. Now I'm going to walk you through the plan, and if I forgot something, guys, just let me know, and we can, again, it's on paper. It's not too late, and the idea is to get down on the plan what we want to see. So up in the northwest corner between on 11th Street here, there's that part of the site that currently is pretty underutilized. One of the ideas was to add 2 full-size basketball courts, new open shelter building, 1 sand volleyball, and 10 parking spots. So the kind of an active, older kids to adult area for the park, active, pretty high use over there. So that's kind of a neat concept for that part of the park. As we move over, we're going to improve the horseshoe area upgrade it, and renovate the north fence along the entire parcel. Potentially put in a black vinyl chain link to make that look a lot nicer for the neighbors in the park. The most active part of the park, which is really cool, I'm going to try to blow this up here quick if I can.
Trish, we got dead air. You've got to sing. Not going to happen?
You don't want that.
We don't want that. Then we got Terry.
Yeah, I'll get it.
Yeah, we don't want that either. Hurry up, Jeff. We're running out of time.
Oh, yeah, you just carry on.
Does karaoke? Oh, boy.
Okay. I'm used to a mouse, sorry. This is a really dynamic part of the park, and it's already pretty cool, and it's going to get better. Some of the things that are planned for this area is to renovate the existing shelter number 1. It's seen some age over time and needs to be improved. Not only the roof, but some of the things inside. Look at improving that shelter. The parking lot is somewhat under. Again, it's pretty old and needs some work, so we improved this parking lot to add 18 spaces and a nice drop-off area. It also includes a universal playground that's been talked about. So this entire site becomes pretty neat for kids, and this would be the universal playground area in the circle. These are your existing playground areas, cleaned up a little bit with a walk to enclose the area and make it accessible, as well as an 8,000 square foot plaza in the middle with shade shelters, as well as a park shelter restroom located right here for people with special needs and the kids that are close to this area. We also looked at expanding the existing splash pad area and creating just a really high active use area of neat sounds and uses for that part of the park. We did look at rebuilding the existing restroom building in that location and small shelter attached to it. So we'd have 2 shelters and 2 bathrooms in this highly active space. Perhaps the biggest thing added was the 67 car space parking lot along Georgia Street. That would be as soon as you enter the park into this area. And all these dashed lines are shared use paths, and they're conceptual at this time, but would be hard surface of blacktop or concrete planned. Also, we did add some parking to the north. I believe that is another 15 spots up there. So 16 spots, sorry. So a pretty neat area. Again, the one-way loop still happens. We added some parking, some major parking for the large venues, and pretty neat part of the park. As far as lagoon, obviously the lagoon is a major component of the park. Sometimes you wonder if computers are more efficient or not. Huh? So again, the lagoons are a big part of the project. And as most of you know, we've been working with the city civil engineering department. On February 24th, they started a Stringham Creek watershed, which this lies in. That's part of the city that is being studied by AECOM, a large civil engineering company. And they're going to do a really great job of analyzing where the stormwater goes, how to manage it, and things like that. This area is targeted to help in that effort, not all of it, but some of it. And some of our standards that we listed on the plan, I'll talk about in a second, but they were received quite well by the consultant and city. So we're on the right wavelength of what we want to do as far as our goals and objectives. Our study is not an engineering study. Our study is a conceptual master plan. So we're going to give ideas on how to do stormwater and put allowances in our budgets for them. but really the Stringham Creek master plan or stormwater study is going to help shape that as well. So it's a good marriage between a conceptual plan and the now engineering plan, and we're on the right wavelength from what they told us. Starting in the south corner here, we're starting to show the lagoon with some areas for outcroppings and areas for people to fish or sit by the lake, or the lagoon, I'm sorry. We also have an aerator shown, potentially for some vertical element and sound in the park, which would be nice to muffle out some of the road noise. The existing limestone bridge is awesome. We want to make it even better. I know the one in Menominee Park was studied last year. They fixed some of the footings, but we thought that if we could even create some sort of entry landscaping on both sides, maybe brick pavers or something like that on both sides, some signage to really celebrate that really cool feature of the park. It's probably one of the best parts of the park, to be honest. It's really neat. As we move down, this lagoon's here. We also show again some outcroppings that we talked about. The bridge would stay here, but this is kind of the neatest part of the lagoon is the expansion on the east side. And really what this would do is allow for a nicer water feature. This is kind of a dead part of the park in our opinion, and we thought if we made a bigger water body, it would do a couple things. It would create a neater area for use of water, but also with the expansion of this side of the park and some of the issues of the flooding, we thought that that would help in that stormwater management of this hard surface that we're adding on this part of the park. So this lagoon gets larger again. We have some of the outcroppings and then the spillway as we head to the east. One of the big things I talked about earlier was shelter number 3. Cool part of the park, hard to get to. The committee was pretty adamant last time that, boy, if we could get the parking along Ohio, which the civil engineer said yes, that would be doable as long as we only have a 1 in, 1 out and a small parking area there of, I should know all these numbers. I don't, sorry.
18.
18, thank you. 18 spaces with landscaping. And again, let's make that shelter 3 cool with restrooms and overhead area and enclosed area. And that could be a really sweet place to rent for. It is already, but now it's going to have toilets and running water. So that'll be really great for that part of the park. The rest of the areas we're going to work with Bill, and Bill's going to do it over time as far as thinning out some of the ash trees. Again, besides the lagoons, what's better is the trees. So we're going to keep it as wooded as possible, and Bill will do a good job at that. All these little circles that we show along the entire perimeter of the site, when I've done other plans here, I've always been a big proponent of visual entryways and celebration of the park. So right now, maybe there's different signs that look different at each corner. I'm a big proponent of making everything look somewhat similar. Instead of having white on one side and brown on the other side and green on the other side, let's make a standard here that celebrates this park and play off of those new shelters we're going to look at. So this could be it is a dynamic park. It could be even better with some of those small details. I know all that costs money, and every time I dream, Ray says, you dream expensive. And I said, yeah, I do. And he tries to keep me in line. But part of my job for you guys as your consultant is to do that, to dream a little bit, to show you what else is out there, and provide some good solutions for you. So that's that. As far as the stormwater techniques, I don't know, should I go through that, or is that interesting? I can go through them real quick. I don't know if you think that's a big deal. It's about how we're going to preserve the water for the pond, how we're going to do stormwater management, goals and objectives of that. It's on the list here on the bottom, stormwater options and the shoreline stuff. I can go through it if you want. Otherwise, it's kind of the same as last time.
Board, you went through it last time, right?
Yeah.
With us?
It's up to you guys. I'm here all night if you need me.
No, we're not here all night. You can be here all night. We're not here all night.
All right.
This pond is what, about twice as big now?
Just on the bottom there. Yeah.
Up here.
Yeah.
That's going to be about twice as big.
Well, here's the existing. You see right there?
Right.
I'd say it's a third, maybe. A third to double.
And That's all gonna be with the dams or the spillways, you're gonna have to,
The spillways are going to be rebuilt, and
yeah, they have to be.
Yeah.
There's nothing there anymore.
there's nothing there, and quite frankly, it doesn't hold back much water, so we thought we could create really cool spillways, and that's part of the stormwater thing that we talked about, is actually lowering the water level maybe a foot in the ponds. First, we're going to dredge them all out, get all the junk that's out, because they're only 3 feet deep. They used to be 15 feet deep, believe it or not, from what the city told us.
Wow.
It's all filled in with silt that's either come into the storm sewer or the sides that have sloughed in. So we're going to propose, it's going to not be cheap, but dredge out all the lagoons, make them bigger, lower the elevation, create new spillways that are real cool, that'll be not only great for stormwater, but nice to look at, and create water, sound, and all that. And really create a neat stormwater feature that's still going to look really great. So that's where we're headed. And that extra area is going to have to be excavated out. But again, with all the hard surface we're adding in the park, we're going to need a little bit more storage just for our new stuff that we're adding.
So as far as the water and everything else, we don't feel we need to go through that at this point?
No, I don't.
The only question that I would have for Jeff is, with this dredging and everything else, would we be able to get some funding for that because of, the water helping out with the flooding and everything else?
There was a little bit of talk about that at the engineers kickoff meeting. It's undetermined at this point. It depends what the sediments are made up of within the water body, but we don't know at this point.
Okay.
I think it's probably reasonable that this will go through the stormwater
Right.
utility.
That's what I
probably
would
be
think.
paid for by the utility, that portion of it.
Right, that's what I would.
Okay.
And again, the other thing is, some people are concerned about the water that's being fed to it from the quarry. At this point, that cold water is really great, and if it continues, that's great. If not, there's other options to look at as far as additional wells or other stormwater water added to it.
That's what I was gonna say. What happens when if they actually do shut down and we don't get water from them? It's
Yeah.
the only thing that fed this before.
Right. Well, there is stormwater that does go in there, too.
Well, that little bit that
Yeah.
trickled in there.
Good point. What we've done on other facilities is we've drilled our own well just to keep the level up to a certain height, because stormwater will keep it filled once it gets up to a certain area. The problem is, like in August or when it evaporates, you want to keep that ballast up, so then the pump could kick on of the new well potentially. That's one idea. The other thing that's going to, stormwater, let's say it was just stormwater and it was 3 feet deep right now. You know how that water would look? Not very good, right? So now that it's cold water, it's really great because it's pretty nice water. But we're hoping as we dredge these that our water quality is going to be much better in the pond if there is more stormwater than quarry water.
Well, that's part of it.
Yeah.
Stuff coming out of the quarry, it's like swimming pool.
Right, right. And we're showing aeration and, these fountains that are
Yeah.
just aesthetic, but really they're going to create healthier water too. So we think we have a pretty good mousetrap on that. And the engineers, I felt they were pretty on board with everything we were talking about.
Jonathan, you had your hand up?
How long does something like this take? I mean,
How much money do you
I
have?
don't want to.
No,
There you
I'm
go.
sorry, I don't want to be smart
I
aleck.
mean, are we closing the park for a summer? Are we, this is.
I think it could be
prom
done,
destination, wedding
it could
destination.
potentially be done in stages, one lagoon at a time. I mean, that was talked about at our meeting. Maybe you'd start on the upper end and work your way down and just work at one a year, or it depends. I guess it wasn't decided yet at that point.
I would just comment that typically anything we do is going to be phased in. Right now, we're looking at the inclusive playground. That might be the first improvement in this area. Next, we might have to look at having an accessible restroom down there just because of the use changing with the inclusive playground. And then as the engineering study gets completed through ACOM, working with the stormwater utility, maybe some of those projects are going on at the same time. But it's obviously is going to be a 5 to 20 year plan, just like any other plan that we are coming up with.
It's pretty cool. I think we can all see it. How nice it would be. It's just getting there. It's going to be a challenge,
Question, you show fountains in the west end and the east end.
Yeah.
Down at the west end is where we have a lot of geese and ducks. That should scare those off, because we don't have any geese in our pond over there at the golf course, do we, Steve? That with the fountain there, we don't have a problem. So that might help with
A little bit.
little bit.
Yeah. You know how they are. They're tough.
They'll just be in there with a bar of soap. They get a shower in about a
They were bathing there just before I got here, so I went down and looked at it. You know, one way to keep them out is to look at that naturalized landscape along the edges, and we kind of know where that's at. So, and then there's also ways that you could put wires over the top, but there's really no good way to get rid of the geese.
Well, I think that's got to help with the fountain, though, a little.
Yeah, it will help a little bit.
Okay. Any other questions for Jeff? Sean?
Last time we had talked a bit about the decorative boulders in that area, and I certainly know that right now can't wait to jump from boulder to boulder. I'm curious, are there other communities who've done this in where you've implemented similar kind of structures? I'm just worried about because of the fact that they're artificially placed there, if there's any additional liability that the city has.
Actually, that was supposed to be taken off of that plan, sorry.
Oh, so no.
Yeah, the staff's not a big fan of that. So that was one of my brainstorms again. But he's talking about talking about some of the stepping stones that are in there. I think we're going to more concentrate on those spillways, Sean, than on those rocks like that. So that won't show up on the next plan. Is that right, Ray?
Yeah, I think what we talked about, and I think engineering discussed, was
That
would probably collect more
impediment,
debris
yeah.
instead of helping us with the stormwater
Correct.
management.
Correct.
Any other questions for?
Just one quick one, and I apologize, I was not at the last meeting, so this was probably went over, but in the packet, there was that article about the, what playgrounds are made out of and with wheelchairs and things like that, and I noticed that not that playground, but the other one, and is that, I'm just surprised that that's what's being used at the bottom with the article that was included in the last, where it was saying it was making it difficult for people with wheelchairs to access.
Yeah, what we'll be doing with Jeff once we put together the final plan is we'll be putting in a cost estimate, just like we did with our entire comprehensive plan, is a cost estimate to make that structure or that playground poured in place rubber surfacing as well. And as we get to replacing that playground or doing repairs in there, we'll be talking to the board as far as when it comes to the capital improvement time. Is this something that, can we afford it now? Is it something we want to do in this area? The inclusive playground, that is intended to be a poured in place rubber surfacing. But again, we would like to see more of our playgrounds going that way, not only for accessibility, but for reduced maintenance. And so it's definitely something we'll put in, and we'll make sure we put a cost in there just based on the square footage.
That's a really big area. It would be really cool, but it's a really big area. So
Okay.
you know what that means. But
But there are ways that we can
big
section
area.
that off.
Yeah, we could
make
do
it
little
smaller,
areas within it. Yeah.
and have
Yeah.
pathways traveling to and from.
It would
in
be
certain
awesome.
areas.
Yeah, it'd be really great.
Jim?
Yeah, I have two questions. Jeff, the main road when you drive through, would that be, you've added a lot of parking, which, I mean, which is really good. But would you envision that you could still park along the road like you do today? Or would it be only in the parking lots?
You could. I don't know if that's enforced or not, but we're hoping that people would use the lots more.
But I mean, is there adequate width if four?
On a one-way, sure. On a one-way, sure. Yeah.
Okay. Then the other question I've got, and I'm kind of going back to your experience of other plans you've worked on. I really like the basketball courts in the parks. What do you think about the two courts right there, especially the one that's closer to the street? Basketballs maybe going out in the street, maybe some of the bouncing of the basketball, potentially to the neighbors. What do you think there? I mean, is that good? I mean, like I said, I like the basketball courts in the parks. Does it seem like two fit there pretty good as far as a normal use, or what's your
Every
opinion?
time I've driven through the park, it seems like someone's playing basketball.
And I like
Not today, but most times. And I felt that it would maybe be good for the teens of the area or the young adults to have an extra spot, but.
Oh, no, I think the 2 courts are great.
Yeah, and it's not.
Do you think
know,
it's squeezed in too much, or think it's definitely doable?
It's doable, but you might have a few balls that go out in the road, you know, I mean, that's possible.
And the bouncing basketball being that close to the edge, you don't think that's going to be a big deal?
I guess I didn't think about that, Jim.
Okay.
It should be okay. It depends who lives across the street, I guess.
How far is that, the one basketball court from?
It's
the
15 feet from the sidewalk.
15?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the 2 courts are great. I mean, every time we put a basketball court in, it gets used like mad. I mean, it's really.
We could do 2.
It's really good.
We could do 2 on top of each other, you know, move this one down and put one straight up above. It'd be a little further into the site.
Yeah. I don't know. I was just bringing it up. I'm not saying it's,
Yeah.
But other than that, I think the plan looks great. I really like the parking you did on the Ohio Street side over there with the restroom. That really looks good.
Great.
Did a good job.
As far as on the loop, as far as parking on the street, I think with the parking that you've added, that there shouldn't be parking on that street. I think there's enough parking off to the sides. There's stuff for the volleyball or tennis courts, stuff for the splash pads, plus for basketball, volleyball, enough for horseshoes, everything. I don't think we would want parking on the street on that loop. Keep it clean. But yeah, I agree with Jim that parking over there off of Ohio Street and having a restroom at that shelter and everything else is going to be huge. I think it's going to be a great concept, and I really like the looks of this, so good job, Jeff.
Thank you. We'll revise a few little things we talked about. We'll come up with some cost estimates and create a nice study book, and hopefully we'll have a phase 1 in there that's doable in the near future.
Does anybody see any changes on this plan that they would like to?
And it is, you know, they're master plans, but as you guys know, they're flexible enough that until you actually specifically design something, length by width and vertical and engineering wise, it gets a little different. So, but generally, if you can get the big ticket items in the places you want, it's usually a successful plan.
Okay. Okay, seeing anything else from the board? This is not an action item, right?
That's correct. What we wanted to do is get some final comments and let Jeff go back and start working on putting together the cost estimates.
Bring it back, and then we can recommend passing it on to the council and let them open up their purse.
We'll have a similar little booklet like you normally have, and it should be a real nice little package, and hopefully it aims, you know, shapes the future of the park. So
Okay.
I really appreciate being here again.
Okay,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much. Yep.
Okay, that concludes our park business. Going on to citizen statements, unless there's citizens, any others want to talk about the park, South Park? Okay, seeing none. Citizen statements that, for stuff that was not on the agenda. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to park director and staff reports.
I just have a couple items. Trish included, hopefully at your seat, an updated advisory park board directory, so if you can take a look at that. If there's any information that is incorrect, let Trish know, or if there's phone numbers or email addresses that you don't want, please let Trish know, but they should be updated and current. A couple items that we've been working on is we recently had a meeting with the stormwater management team for the restoration of Bauman Park. If you recall, when the creek dredging took place, a number of the filtering bags were placed at Bauman Park. They essentially took over the park for about the last 2 summers. We're working on a restoration plan, which will include a new and improved ball diamond. What we're looking at is something similar to diamond number 8 over at Menominee Park, where we'd have the backstop and just the side fences. And included in the capital improvement project plan for this year was replacement of that playground equipment. So we will also be working, once they're doing restoration, to go out for proposals on the playground equipment for Bowman Park as well. So if there's citizens out there, they should know that once the weather breaks, they should start seeing some of the topsoil being replaced at Bowman Park. And we're also working on trying to get that ball diamond reinstated over there. As I talked about, the Inclusive Playground continues with their fundraising. We have a couple presentations that we're doing to the service clubs as well as some local businesses. And right now they are probably at about $90,000 raised of the $100,000 that they were expected to raise before we would break ground on the project. The city, if you recall, back in 2012, I believe, in our CIP, we had included $100,000 with the assumption or with the task of the committee raising and matching $100,000 before we started that project. So hopefully in the next couple of months we'll be able to come back and say that we've met that goal, and possibly this spring we may be breaking ground on the Inclusive Playground as well. And one reminder, if you didn't receive information, but the State of the City will be held on Monday, March 31st at the Convention Center. So if you can be there, our department, all our divisions will be represented, as well as all the other city departments. Just a good opportunity to hear and see what's going on around the city and ask any questions of city staff. I'm going to step aside and let Jenny and Steve come up, because what I've asked them to do is give you kind of a in-depth report of what they have for numbers from last year. We're also working on a final annual report, a department-wide annual report for all of our divisions. And I would expect once the auditors are done with our finance department, most likely sometime in April or May, we'll have that financial and annual report completed for the entire division. So Chad is not here this evening. He was out of town and did not provide anything in writing for me. But I do know that the crew has been working on the final cruiser dock over at Menominee Park near the Kiwanis building. I know they are reconstructing that as we speak. The one at William Steiger, they recently reconstructed, put all new wood and bumpers, not bumpers, but all new bumper boards on that location as well. So we're doing some last-minute dock work while the ice is still good. So,
Before Jenny and Steve come up, Bill, do you have any reports for us?
Yeah, I got a couple things. I think I talked in our last meeting that we're going to work on treating some of the ash trees in the neighborhoods and the parks. Just got our equipment and chemical in today, so we're going to be continuing to work on developing areas to work through. What we're going to use is a product that is actually going to protect the trees for 2 to 3 years, so we won't have to go through everything on an annual basis. So we're kind of excited to get going on this as soon as the snow cover starts diminishing and the trees are beginning to flow. We're going to be injecting many of them. We'll be working on some of the street side stuff where we have, primarily some of the autumn purple ashes that were planted a number of years ago. And then we're also looking at some through that process that we will identify for removal that are in poor shape structurally or have other issues. Basically, anything that has anything over 50% dieback, it doesn't warrant any treatment. But we think we can do a pretty good job of it, try to salvage what we can, if for nothing else but than to alleviate the need to try to have to remove a lot of trees in a short period of time. So that's all coming together fairly well. Working with the IT department to develop some maps through our current inventory so that we can set up some fairly good project areas for the crews to work with. Number of years ago, I think we probably talked about the new cemetery information management software that was funded. It's taken about 2 years to develop all the mapping and take our current data and merge it with a new GIS program. A lot of our information was recorded in a DOS system, which we still are kind of keeping propped up, and it works. However, we wouldn't be able to operate that for much longer just due to the nature of the ancient system that we have there. So we're real excited. The program's been up and running since, I think, around beginning of January. We had a couple bugs initially, but we've worked through the program, and everything is running quite well, and we're actually happy with it. So it's kind of a nice way to manage all of our information there, so that when people come in and want to purchase burial spaces or that sort of thing, everything lights up on the map, and it's real easy to go through the system, as opposed to looking at different separate pages and having somebody who recalls exactly where certain individuals are buried. So it's a nice advancement for us. So we're real excited about that. Received a little bit of publicity regarding our Taking Root tree planting program, and I did speak at the Wisconsin Arborists Association DNR annual conference on that topic. Once again, we had been there a couple years ago. There was a lot of excitement from other communities regarding our program that we developed here, so it was kind of nice to talk about that again. So that's basically all I have. It's been a challenging winter for us in forestry, but we're making pretty good efforts right now and getting some of the things done that we weren't able to during the cold weather. So winter could hang on just a little longer for us, but spring is nice.
Board have any questions for Bill? Seeing none, thank you. Moving on, revenue facilities. Jenny.
Hand these around here. I didn't know Trish actually already put the chart in your packet, so I apologize. Now you have two. Well, we had a pretty good year overall, given, the weather and the rain. We did have quite a bit of rain this year, which caused us to be closed, a bit at the facilities. But overall, it was a pretty good year. Starting at the front, the zoo entrance. If some of you guys don't know that are new, we did open the otter exhibit in 2013. That was a huge exhibit to finally be done. It was fundraised for a long time. So as you can see, from 2012 to 2013, the number of the zoo visitors went up drastically in 2013 to the zoo, and that number is certainly on the low side. That's how many people we actually registered going through our turnstile into the zoo. But we do have that. We have a handicap gate, which we're trying to find out a better system. People come in and just leave it open, and you'll see a whole entire school group walk through it, or a whole family, and they don't use the turnstile. If someone in front of them has used that gate, they just kind of follow on through. So that number is definitely on the low side, actually, of how many visitors we had at the zoo this season in 2013. So Chad, I know, is working on maybe something and talking to some of the different zoos what they do to get an even more accurate number of visitors. But we're certainly happy about that number. And it was a great year, and if you didn't get to see the otters last year, definitely come down this year when we open and see them. They're pretty entertaining to watch. So the amusement center, we were down a bit this year of the train. We unfortunately had a problem that put the train out approximately 23 days this year again. There was a problem that we had to send the train in for repairs, and it was gone for about a little over 3 weeks again. So that problem was taken care of when it was sent in, and it did run great for the rest of the season, but that did put our numbers down a bit compared to last year. As you can see, the year before that, in 2013, our train was out half the season almost due to some issues. So hopefully 2014 will get back up to normal numbers for the train, and it'll be running well. So all the special events for 2013 went great. The egg setting day at the zoo, you can see, is down just a little bit, but it was 45 degrees and very windy compared to like 65 degrees the year before and sunny. So we were very pleased to have, that many kids plus all their families. So it was still a great day, even despite the weather. Zulu and Boo continues to kind of grow. We had this year on Sunday, it actually started raining at 1 o'clock, so that number was up till 1 o'clock on Sunday. So had we had a nice Sunday, those numbers would have went up even more. But so this year, I know for the first time between all the events, we were able to actually raise just shy, about $200 shy of $10,000 for the zoo that we raised this year after all expenses were paid. So we were very happy about that. All the events went really well, and we were able to put just under $10,000 into the continuing to improve the zoo. So Any questions about any of that stuff? Then the next thing you'll see here is I kind of just put together for you guys, these are all the events that are scheduled for 2014. So all the dates are picked and on our calendar on our website. So any of them, if anyone's interested in, we're still looking for, if you know anybody, we're still looking for sponsorships for some of them. Always can use people to volunteer for some of them. But it kind of just goes through all of our areas. So the Children's Amusement Center, which is our Kids Kickoff Carnival, the zoo event, the leach event, and the pool event. So it's kind of a complete list of all of our special events that the city, that the Parks Department actually hosts throughout the summer. So we have a lot going on, and I also included two of our 3 brochures. We're not quite, the leach one isn't done yet because we don't have a lot of the specifics. The bands actually are all planned out for the leach this summer. I just don't have contracts back and stuff yet, so we haven't released the names of who's playing and things. But I am working with the bands on that, getting all the bands booked in, and we should have some good people just waiting on contracts back for that stuff. So, so all of our information is in the brochures here, and kind of prices and events and what we do at both the facilities. And otherwise, right now, kind of just working on really getting we have a new event this year, the Breakfast with the Bunny at the Senior Center, so that'll be a new exciting event coming up in April here. It's about a month away. So that's the one I've been working on most right now, but kind of working on getting sponsorships for all these events, getting entertainment booked and all that kind of stuff right now. So, and before we know it, we'll be ready to open everything in May 3rd here. So, other than that, does anybody have any questions?
I've got one. Did we not get a Pollock Pool report?
Not yet. That will be we're waiting on some of our numbers with that one. So that will be definitely in the annual report.
Okay.
And that should be, I'm working with Julie Kiefer, our fund developer and marketer at the Senior Center. So we're working on compiling all that information. So that'll definitely be in the annual report with everything.
Okay. Anything for Jenny? None? Thank you. Moving on to Lakeshore Golf Course. Steve?
Thank you. Overall, I'd like to report that although rounds were down slightly and revenues also from 2012, the revenue during the prime season was about level with 2012. It's interesting to note that even though 2012 was a long season, 2013 revenue exceeded that year by $30,000 from May to October. It was April, latter October, November that hurt us this past year. And we can't budget for that, but 2012 was an anomaly. And we found that throughout the country last year. It's the only year in the last 7 that showed throughout the United States that rounds were actually up slightly. The trend everywhere in the country is down, except in some of the Sunbelt resort areas. There's an 11-to-1 ratio at this point in time of course closings to course openings. So it kind of gives you an indication of what's going on in the industry. Fewer people are playing. It's just the way it is throughout the country. We hope that we can turn that around here. Competition is still stiff, but we'll do what we can. One of the pleasantries we found this past year was that cart revenue was up 22%, or $22,000 actually. We feel that's due to the new fleet and the fact that they're colorful and they've got windshields. We can't really explain it any other way. Even though rounds were down a little bit, revenue in that area was up. So the carts are going out more than they had in the past. Also pleasantly surprised that even though there are more cart rounds, there's less fuel consumed. So the salesman wasn't kidding when he said, you're going to have a more economical vehicle. It proved to be true, so we're very happy with that. Merchandise was also up slightly, 10%, interestingly, to about $2,000. We attribute that more than likely to a little more variety and maybe a more recognizable branding than in the past. This year we're going to change. That's the main logo again to Nike. We think that might even be more popular. So we're looking forward to increasing merchandise sales 2014. Let's see. Concerning what we hope to do this coming year, starting with junior golf, you've approved a reduction in the cost of the junior pass to $200. We hope that that attracts kids back to Lakeshore. It's a $50 or $75 drop, so we're looking forward to that. We've also continued the young adult pass at $350. It's a pass that we tried last year on a trial basis. It seemed to be well received, but we didn't initiate it until later in the season. So we're hoping that the young students, or all the students at UWO and Fox Valley Tech, as well as even those that are not students, they don't have to be a student to buy this pass. So we're looking to those people that are in that transition stage in their life where they're going from school into the workforce and really can't afford a lot of golf. We hope this price point is agreeable to them. We've also restored the youth play for free with a parent or guardian program, which we had in place a few years ago. It didn't pan out, so we dropped it. We're going to try to see if we can do that again on weekends after 3 o'clock. So any of you have want to come out with your child or children, they will play free with the paid adult after 3 o'clock. We've discussed possibly extending that into the weekdays, but we'll take this one step at a time and experiment with the weekends first. Trace has identified also some little used tee times midday, and he tracked it from the beginning of the season to the end. And he's identified the 3 or 4 tee times that he feels we could market effectively online at a discounted rate and see where that takes us. If it works, there's a possibility we could open up some more, and he's going to have to monitor that and use his judgment as to how well it's working. And if it would become abused by the same people, it's not they'd come out all the time and count on that pass, well, then we might have to rethink it. But we think that there are some times there that are popular in the big scheme of things, and especially at a reduced rate. We'll have to see how that works out, of course. One of the other ideas Trace had last year when he came on board was using a big cup format. It took some convincing. I bought into it. I think Ray's bought into it. I don't know if you're familiar, but a big cup is 50% larger than the 4 1/4 inch cup. We're going to put that in play on the front 9. So we'll have 2 flat, 50%. We're going to use a 6-inch cup.
Even some of them, big cups are bigger than that even.
Yeah, they are. But it's going to be an option on the front 9. So we'll have 2 flags, 2 cups on each of the front 9 greens. You'll be able to choose how you want to play, the hole or the round. And we feel that'll be very beneficial to beginners and youth, making it less frustrating and time consuming for those haven't developed the skills yet on the putting green. Is, after all, a different part of the game, almost entirely different from the rest of golf, from driving to irons and pitching. So we hope that speeds it up and makes it interesting. We'll be probably, to our knowledge, the only one in the immediate area with that option. And, of course, it's open to anyone that wants to use that at any time. We look at it as an option for leagues and fun nights for the leagues to use also. If it works well, we think that we could do it on the back 9 also for minimal cost. They will be, for those of you who play, there will be the yellow flag sticks, the yellow flags and black and white flag sticks.
I think you should make all old people use those big old mandatory.
Again, that's their choice.
That includes you, Terry.
I know it. I know it.
Steve, do people complain about having 2 holes out there and being confused, or is it?
I don't know yet.
Regular golfers.
I don't know yet. It's an experiment.
On other courses, though, it's not. As far as you know, it's not usually.
To my knowledge, no other course keeps them in play all the time.
Let's see. Okay.
I think Rolling Meadows does. I think they've got it up there, but they don't have flags in them.
I see.
They take the flags out.
But we intend to leave the flag in. It's a little more work for the men mowing the greens, and it's definitely more work for the man cutting the cup. They obviously won't be moved as often as the regulation cup. But it'll be off to the side or in the back where it won't generally interfere with your play if you're playing to the standard cup. One of the other areas we're looking at, I am personally, with the addition of some new equipment, I think we're going to be able to maintain the rough at a more manageable height for the golfer, if not even mowing it shorter and staying on top of it. So that should help speed up play. Without cutting a secondary rough, I think this will accomplish two things, moving the golfers along quickly and making my staff more productive. They know where the long areas are, the lush areas that grow quickly, and I think this will help give them a little freedom to go and mow things and keep them more under control. In the past, we had a tractor and a gang mower, and it's so slow that if you didn't go in the same pattern every week, you couldn't keep up. With the new machinery, I think we'll be able to more than keep up. In demonstrations, it proves to be at least 25% faster, so I think we'll be saving fuel and time there. We're also intending to keep the berms, most of the berms cut down to a manageable length also. So there'll be fewer lost balls. We're looking at that as a play enhancer. I'm sure Bill and Terry have witnessed what can happen when a person loses the ball.
You're talking about the mounds on two?
The mounds on two, most of them actually.
Yeah, okay.
So they'll be maintained at a height that is still a penalty, but easier to find the ball and get it out. And then finally with the greens, the green speed we hope to take up a notch, not through any aggressive mowing pattern, but because last year we acquired a roller, and we hope that in conjunction with mowing, often as we normally do, we hope the rolling is going to smooth the greens out and give them a little better roll and green speed.
They were good last year. They were good.
It's proved, to work at just about every course that's tried it. So I'm confident this will help. Maybe it'll bring back some of the golfers that that have left over the years. We're looking to make it a more popular place to play and easier to get around.
Any questions for Steve? I've got one. The berm, or whatever you want to call it, on 15, got that sand trap or whatever you want to call that thing. Do you have any plans for that?
I plan to turn it into a grass bunker at some point in time allowing.
Okay. Okay, because right now it's just
Yes, there were several bunkers that were built in the renovation project that proved to be just too difficult to maintain.
that being one of them.
That being one of them, and the fact that, the proper sand and that we had installed initially is just very expensive, and at this time, the budget doesn't allow us to go back in and replenish this sand. So that at some point in time will be filled in.
Okay. I think mowing the mounds on 2, and then if you can do something with that on 15, I think the golfers will be very, very happy.
I think so.
Yeah, so. Okay, seeing no other questions, thank you very much, Steve. Okay, that concludes our director's report. Our next meeting is April 14th, right here, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So that concludes. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Terry, second.
Second.
Sean, all in favor?
All right.
Better not be opposed. Thank you very much.